Hey hosers, Bowen here, and I am bringing you a transition vlog number 4. So I've been on estrogen for a week and a day, and I just wanted to talk about some of the more immediate effects of that, and maybe some of um, what I think is going on. Because if you ask anyone who's trans, the first thing they'll tell you, or that most of them will tell you when they go on hormones, whether that be estrogen or testosterone, is that we actually get just an immediate everything is better. So like just my general level of happiness has gone up quite a bit. I can't really put my finger on pretty much anything specifically, but just I am just in general feeling a lot better. Positive emotions are a lot more positive. Negative emotions aren't necessarily so negative, even. So that's kind of interesting. I actually have a theory or a hypothesis about what's actually going on here. Is that using myself as a trans woman as an example. If you did a brain scan of me, you would probably find that my brain is either under-masculinized or partially feminized, even, as opposed to being a brain that would be typical of a cis male. So, one of the theories I've come across from a scientific study is that there's a gene combination that not all, of course, trans men wouldn't have this at all. In fact, this would prevent, if all this is true, it would prevent someone from becoming a trans man entirely. Well, at least mentally. But there is a gene expression that gives a lot of trans women a brain-specific androgen insensitivity, which means that my brain can't actually process testosterone very efficiently. So it's not properly developed so much, and is starving for hormones. Now, for things like hormones, it can quite. I'm not going to do it in this video because that would take more time than I care to spend on it. This is a transition vlog, not a intersex lesson. But essentially, your body doesn't actually care, for the most part, with the exception of, like, I guess, your gonads, and your body doesn't care really what hormones it's getting, as long as it's getting enough hormones. So my brain being starved for a sex hormone, testosterone, being born a male, when you introduce estrogen to it, it sort of corrects that hormone deficiency, and that's what's making transgender people actually just get a general boost, a new normal that's often higher than what life would have been beforehand. Now, of course, I'm not stating this as fact. A lot of what I said is fact, but the making us better is not necessarily making us feel better. It's not necessarily a solid fact. That is just what I consider to be a reasonably sound hypothesis, that is just an informed hypothesis. It could be something else. It could be placebo. Although I'm not sure about that. Like, I wasn't ever even expecting to have any sort of, I feel better. That's not something I was really expecting until I until I experienced it. There are a lot of other ways of explaining it for other people that aren't necessarily relevant to me. So I don't think it's actually a placebo effect, at least not for me. Now, that said, I do feel a lot, just in every possible way. I'm feeling I'm even more productive at work. I am getting a lot more work done in the same amount of time, even though nothing's changed. I'm not feeling any better. I actually think I'm starting to feel some of the less wanted effects of a lack of testosterone, of estrogen, where I'm working harder, but I'm actually more tired from doing the work. But that might just be a slightly heavier work schedule due to other people, due to my coworkers being sick and injured lately, which is something that nobody has any control over, really. So I have been having to do a lot more work, but I'm getting a lot more accomplished than I normally would, even though I'm kind of the one who gets shit done when nobody shows up. I'm the one you want to be working alone, basically. So yeah, I can't really put a finger on exactly what's different. I'm kind of getting some side grades downstairs, I guess. That's going interesting, but exactly as expected otherwise. Nothing good, nothing bad. So yeah, I swear I'm starting to get top growth, but that's not really possible. So it might be my imagination, or I've always been kind of fat, and fat cells make estrogen. So I've actually always I've been fat since puberty, pretty much. So that I already kind of do have, normal boobs that cis men my weight would grow, without being on estrogen. Which, you know what? I'm not complaining. I have a good starting place. So yeah, that's all going good. I really didn't make this video because, right. I was initially going to make this video, or a video, right when I started the estrogen, but I didn't really see a need to, because it took a few days for things to start changing, and it's really subtle. It took me maybe 4 or 5 days to even notice, but I'm getting, when I'm happy, I'm actually getting giddy, whatever. I'm getting, I'm definitely getting more out of being happy than I ever have. And I've actually been eating like shit for the last few days. And it's the only other thing really the only thing that's changed. I am losing more facial hair. I actually haven't. No, I shaved yesterday, but I am losing a little bit more facial hair. You can kind of see it not really growing a whole lot. Last time, after the first one, I just was showering and washing my face, and all the hair just came out. That didn't happen this time, although now that I'm on estrogen, as well as anti-androgens, it's growing a lot slower. And it's been, a lot of it's been irreparably damaged. Even if the follicle doesn't die, it still can get damaged. So that's probably slowing things down a bit. I mean, I'm going to need to get this dealt with, probably. Just hairy boobs are a no. And I hate shaving. I really do. and I really don't like body shaving, and I only have a shower, not a bathtub. So yeah, I think I'm going to save up and pay a few $100s to just permanently deal with that. Like, I don't care about this as much. I don't care about pretty much the rest of my body other than my face. Just because it's a dead giveaway. So I don't really want to have to deal with that at all. And hairy boobs are no. I actually don't really like body hair on anybody. But it's manageable everywhere but face and boobs for me right now. Even though I'd just rather get rid of it all. That would be expensive. What else? What else can I go on about? I don't really have a whole lot. I'm going to continue my I've been kind of taking a break from YouTube for the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to be going on I'm going to be continuing my tearing down of Mr. Cummings, the transphobic trans man. I do feel bad for him for all the shit he went through before he transitioned, and I actually have spoken with Steve McRae and Kyle Curtis on Steve's channel on the Non Sequitur show, and they are open to the idea of me being on the show if, in fact, they do have Mark and Orlana back on the show. So, I wouldn't be if we I would do this in the most Canadian way possible. I am not going to be called. I want to be a second person there, so I don't want to be calling the game. I want to be the color commentator. Just because I'm a little bit out of my element in that, but I feel I can add a lot to the discussion. And I kind of now have a bone to pick with him. But they actually brought up my some of the stuff I said on the non-sac. And some of the stuff I had in the comments of that episode of the non-sac. So that is pretty exciting. I've been wanting to contribute to the great debate community in general, and this is kind of how I feel that I can do that. I finally found my great debate thing. They do more than just religious debates and stuff, but I've kind of found my niche in that is basically arguing acceptance of trans people and debunking bullshit about us from transphobic people. So that is something that I'm going to continue doing because I feel it's important work. Apparently, Mr. Atheist, who I would very much prefer to have Mr. Atheist and myself on that show, or myself and Shannon Q on that show, preferably with a bit of a pep talk from the three of them, Steve, Shannon, definitely Shannon. Actually, she can offer actually a lot more psychological stuff. She's a psychologist or something along those lines. So I'd want it to be me, her, and then we can have like a little pep talk and huddle because I'm kind of out of my element in that. But it's pretty awesome. And I was on Steve's channel for the second time. For the first time is May, and of course they're super accepting and everything. So another thing I want to do is I was watching a stream, and someone mentioned you can't cook healthy on the cheap, and that's wrong because I definitely eat. I definitely usually can eat well on the cheap, so I might actually consider doing some cooking videos. Just showing my normal economy but healthy meals, and how I can cook, small individual meals of good nutritional value for one, on the extreme cheap. So there's that as well. I've wanted to do that for a while. I think this is a channel to do it on. I just need to get my camera, my camcorder, working in a tripod for it, and I might. I just need an SD card. I lost the SD cards for it, and it's not a micro. So that is something that I'm actually seriously considering doing, just as another for me thing, because that's mostly what this channel is for. Is me. So. But yeah, I make really good food on the cheap. Yeah. I guess that's it for this one, and have a good one, eh?